Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I wanted to share with you my Call of Duty tier list. It's something of a fun and simple video while we wait on the massive in-depth type projects that are coming later this week. But a lot of you had questions about where I rank Call of Duties, which one is my favorite, which one is my least favorite, what studio is the best, etc, etc. And I made a short version of this, but I would like to expand on that and give a really detailed breakdown in today's video. So I've got the tier list website open, our games that are available to me in chronological order, and let's get to ranking them. We have to start off with Call of Duty 4, because before Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty wasn't really that big of a game. COD 4 here is what elevated Call of Duty from B to C forgettable shooters all the way up into this list up in the A and S tier and stuff like that. Now don't get me wrong, COD 2 was great. And I played them all the way back to like the old, COD 1 on PC, but this one is really where we started with modern Call of Duty, and I'm gonna give this one an A ranking. I originally wanted to put it up here at S, but after I played Modern Warfare Remastered, it reminded me of all the flaws that the game had. That you had enemies that would just respawn until you push past a certain point. You had weird balances and weird bugs in multiplayer that were really never addressed, and powerful noob tubes and questionable spots on the map, and some things that could use a little polish that prevented it from being up here at S tier. We'll pull it down. I got to get rid of the rose-colored glasses and look at the past more objectively, but the game was good, it was fun, it was simple, it was innovative, groundbreaking in a lot of ways, so I can forgive some flaws for that. And on top of that, it used realistic guns and realistic settings, perhaps more than any game since then, so that was really fun. Moving along to next, let's talk about Call of Duty World at War. Now this is kind of a fan favorite, and I think a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me on this one, but it seemed like Treyarch had one idea for this game, but when COD 4 came out, Activision's like, hey, we want you to make COD 4, but better, and Treyarch's like, hey, but we're doing a World War II game, and they're like, we don't care, just add all this stuff to it, and red dot sights and stuff. So it wasn't super historically accurate, but it was fun to play, it had a good campaign. The multiplayer was surprisingly fun with some neat ideas such as tanks, and you see attack dogs for the first time, and also it was the first game where zombies showed up, albeit initially as an Easter egg, but it was still really hype. However, I don't feel that this game was as polished or as good or as well thought out of as COD 4, so I'm gonna bump it down probably to B tier, and I would actually put this game down in the C tier, but zombies was invented here, so I'm picking it up just one. Now let's talk about the big boy on the list, Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 is considered the pinnacle of Call of Duty, as good as it can get, the absolute peak. And you know what? I agree. Modern Warfare 2 is a fantastic Call of Duty game. It could easily have been down here with COD 4 or been in the forgettable realm, but they took everything that was COD 4 and polished it up. We got better guns, we got more hype campaign, we got more fun attachments, more fun things to do, great DLC, and good, support and patches throughout the life cycle of the game. And it just felt like a fun modern military shooter. It was a little bit less realistic than COD 4 in a lot of different aspects, but it was consistently fun to play, and the multiplayer balance was super fun because it was horribly unbalanced, because every gun was awesome. And when every gun is awesome in its own way, and not, some guns are mediocre, or, oh, this one just shoots a little faster, but like every gun would just straight murder you and you would die super fast, that made it a really fun and satisfying game for me to play. I probably played Modern Warfare 2 more than any other Call of Duty, except for one other, which I'll talk about in a moment, and also it had fantastic kill streaks. Having good kill streaks and customizable kill streaks, and the ability to run trains on people in the lobby, and just awesome maps like High Rise, man, the maps were great too in that game, good lord. Modern Warfare 2, I think, is an S-tier Call of Duty. I think it's one of the best COD games ever made, and that current Call of Duty games are still effectively riding its coattails. Now let's take a look at Call of Duty Black Ops. Now, I don't think Call of Duty Black Ops is that popular of a game. A lot of people have played it more recently on the backwards compatibility and are reminded of its flaws. And a lot of people would probably put it down here in the C and D tier, that it's not that good, but I disagree. I think that Call of Duty Black Ops is a really good Call of Duty game. It has a great zombies mode, it has a fantastic campaign, it has really cool theater mode, a lot of neat ideas for like wager matches and COD points, and famous actors in there for the first time. However, the multiplayer for this game is a little rough. This game has everything except a great multiplayer. The multiplayer, unfortunately, was really laggy. It had a weird time to kill. You had bullet sponging and invisible bullets and super bullets, and kind of a lot of glitches that I found to be frustrating. So while this game could have been an A, the overall multiplayer experience wasn't as robust as what I was hoping for, so that's going to drop it down to a B. Now let's talk about Modern Warfare 3. This is probably, some people like this game more than Modern Warfare 2. A lot of fans think that Call of Duty peaked during Modern Warfare 3 up here at the S tier, and every year it's just been a steady decline all the way down to the bottom. But I disagree about this game. I think that Modern Warfare 3 is inferior to Modern Warfare 2, inferior to the original Modern Warfare, and unfortunately inferior to these two as well. And I know this is going to be my most controversial pick. I'm putting MW3 all the way down here into the D list. Modern Warfare 3 was a rough game. It had, more bugs on launch. We had support streaks for the first time. Instead of zombies, which was popular, we got chaos mode, which wasn't as fun. The campaign just completely left all sense of reality and sanity and story behind and devolved into like Michael Bay drivel. And I think the thing that really, I guess for lack of a better word, triggered me about the multiplayer experience, which, overall the multiplayer experience for Modern Warfare 3 was pretty good. I didn't like the weapon, what did they call them? Proficiencies. They were like enchantments you could put on your weapon. It was like having weapon perks that just reduced accuracy or increased range or got rid of flinch or did more damage or something like that for no reason whatsoever. Even though we had a lot of great iconic weapons, we had that Modern Warfare 2 hype balance, we had polished gameplay, we had, really fun kill streaks, and the specialist package, which was just downright awesome. You hit that max specialist tier and you're just running around all over the map like a little god. I loved it. But it was kind of weird. It felt like I was playing a MOBA and less like a shooter. And on top of that, my personal experience with Modern Warfare 3 is that this is the laggiest Call of Duty ever made. I gave Black Ops 1, minus points for lag. I'm giving this one a lot of minus points for lag. It was nearly unplayable for me, so maybe I have some bias there. Although I will say it had probably the second best DLC package of any Call of Duty ever. We had free maps, 2v2 maps, we had, like objective maps, we had slaying maps, we had great DLC for this game. Moving along, let's take a look at Black Ops 2. Now, for those of you that are a fan of this channel, you know that this is a game that I rather like, so it's going to be either A or S tier. I think that Black Ops 2 is everything that Black Ops 1 was, but with a great multiplayer. And the multiplayer for Black Ops 2 is different than COD 4 and different from Modern Warfare 2. It didn't really try to be a realistic shooter. It was a future game, and we had a lot of fake kind of guns. And the overall sound and feel of the game was definitely more cartoony, brighter colors, bigger pops, blockier guns. The balance was, you die slower, you can dolphin dive and do goofier stuff, but despite it being a little bit less serious and more cartoony, it was still wonderfully fun to play. And after the first patch or two, debatably the most balanced Call of Duty ever, except for maybe Modern Warfare 2, it had a fantastic DLC, not only for multiplayer, but for zombies as well. You had a choose-your-own adventure kind of campaign with multiple endings. We had the best Call of Duty competitive has ever been with league play and great community support, and it being on Twitch and people trying to go pro and having ranks and all sorts of great stuff going on with Black Ops 2. Really, the only flaws with Black Ops 2, in my opinion, was that it was a little bit cartoony, and sometimes public matches could get a little weird, but other than that, the game was super fun to play, and there was a lot to do, so I'm actually putting Black Ops 2 up in the S tier. Seems like all of the 2s get that S plus tier. Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, etc. Let's take a look at Call of Duty Ghosts. Call of Duty Ghost was... yeah, it's gonna be trash. Sorry guys, I know there's a lot of Call of Duty Ghost fans out there. At this point, several of you got started on Call of Duty Ghosts. This might be your favorite game, this might be your first COD game, but this is definitely not a great COD game. It's not a good COD game, it's not an average COD game, it's not a lacking COD game. It's a trash COD game. And the reason for that is complex. There are some great things about Call of Duty Ghosts. I think that Extinction Mode was fantastic. I think Extinction Mode was ahead of its time and debatably better than the zombies experiences that we had with Treyarch. I think that Call of Duty Ghosts had the best DLC of any Call of Duty game ever made. The DLC content for this game, every map and every mode was just an absolute banger that had really fun camos, and I think the game had really good hit detection. But what it didn't have is delivering on hardly any of its marketing messages. The game was marketed as Modern Warfare 2 with destructible environment and play as a dog and cool camos and you can lean and slide and do realistic military things. But then the destructible environment kind of wasn't. It was only a few spots on a few maps, and a few maps had big events, but most had nothing. Or just like you shoot in the elevator and the corner falls for no reason, so I have to take it down a tier. And then you have stuff like, oh, well, you can lean and do all these knee slide and all these movements. Well, leaning broke the hitboxes on the characters such that you could shoot through solid bodies, and it was such a problem that people were like lean shooting in competitive that they had to ban leaning in competitive, so it has to drop down a tier. And we've got, you know, some really fun weapons and fun ideas in multiplayer. And you can have attack dogs and support choppers and some really neat kind of guns like the chainsaw. But guess what? The dogs kill you instantly. They lunge at you and you die before they touch you and you can't do anything about it. And they had IEDs that you could just drop on the wall, ceiling, floor, behind a door, in a bush that would kill you instantly. Or drop 2 of them and with danger close, and you would just get blown up and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Oh, and then the higher tier kill streaks in this game you couldn't use because they were glitched and they would get stuck in the skybox, and you would hit invisible walls as you tried to aim with your Odin or Loki, and there were other score streaks that would just get stuck. That was really fun. Oh, and the bomb glitch in Search and Destroy played for $500,000 of competitive money S&D where you couldn't plant or interact with the bomb. That's really rough. And, you know, we also had really weird glitches in multiplayer and broken spawns for a long time. I wish I could put Ghost 1 tier lower. I would normally make a new row for Ghost and just put it in the Shadow Realm, but I'm going to be a little nicer than that. Moving along, let's take a look at Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. This is a game that I personally have a lot of bias toward because I had a lot of fun with it. But if I take my fun out, if I take my bias out, and I take a look at Advanced Warfare, that's probably going to fall down here on about the C list of Call of Duty. Advanced Warfare I thought had pretty good graphics in that they were clean and crisp. We had celebrity power. We had a campaign that was interesting and a premise that didn't quite fulfill itself. We had the first ever advanced movement in multiplayer, which was interesting but flawed. It was a little bit fast. You would just jump and just instantly boost off the ground and over super fast. There was no flow or smooth, and it was kind of hard to aim, and people were just, you'd hear the little jetpacks and people zipping all over the map, and that wasn't very fun. I think the game had fantastic guns, man. It had great ideas for how to have fun guns, but it didn't, not all the guns really matched the whole 3D movement thing. And Exo Zombies just didn't hold a candle to Treyarch Zombies. Exo Zombies was the great value version of Treyarch Zombies, and it just was not as good, guys. Sorry about that. So Advanced Warfare is going a little lower, even though I had a little fun with it flying around. Let's take a look at Black Ops 3. Oh my god, this game was good. Black Ops 3 had great Zombies content. We ended the story in Zombies, at least at one point. We had like all the old Zombies maps in this crazy post-launch DLC. We had good DLC maps. We had the best 3D movement that any Call of Duty games ever had. Now, no 3D movement's not popular, but Treyarch did it not first. They mastered it here for Black Ops 3. Their wall run system was really good. The guns that they had was good. The base balance of the game was good. It came out in a polished state. It was mostly bug-free at launch. It didn't have a lot of lag at launch. We had a full campaign in this game that was super interesting. It was like a hard sci-fi story talking about like messing with people's memories and cybernetic soldiers in the future. And dude, I had so much. We could swim in the water in this game and shoot while wall running. And you had specialist abilities for the first time, which at least at that time they weren't annoying to me. I had a lot of fun with them, and I would put this game up in S tier. I would say that Black Ops 3 is a true successor to Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2, but, and this is a big but, that black market was garbo. We're dropping that down. The black market got so anti-consumer as it went on that when new guns would come out, like the double barrel 50 caliber sniper rifle, I could go to a store here in Texas and buy a real 50 caliber sniper rifle for cheaper than what was available in Black Ops 3, and I think that's the only thing that keeps this game from being S tier. The monetization was just terrible in this game. It's probably even worse than, you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 looking at it, but it was brutal, and that's a shame because the game itself was amazing, but I'm dropping it down to the A tier. Let's take a look at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Ooh, where am I going to put Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Well, for those of you that don't know, I didn't really play this game when it came out. I skipped it. I quit COD again on this channel and moved away, much to my detriment, and my bank account and wallet hated me. So obviously I don't like the game. But the real question is this a D tier game or a trash tier game? Now, when the game first came out, I would have told you it's a trash tier game. I would have said they copied Black Ops 3 poorly, they took wall running poorly, operators poorly, future concept poorly, they rushed it poorly, lots of bugs. I would just use the word poorly over and over again. Copied zombies poorly, and we had a monetization system with pay to win, you know, stat changing guns like Advanced Warfare, which just makes it poor. But looking back, there are some things about this game that weren't so bad. After the first set of DLC, they rebalanced a few things. They added a bare bones mode. They added new weapons that were really fun. They gave away most of their DLC weapons for free. Most of the DLC weapons you didn't have to pay for. There were tons of daily challenges and credits and ways to earn microtransaction stuff. The stat changing guns were minimal. It was like 2% more range or one attachment built into your gun or something very, very small. You weren't really doing play to win. And even, you know, the zombies mode, which was obviously, it was rougher than Treyarch zombies up here, but it had a lot of heart, and it was about movies, and I loved movies, and it was clever, and it was crafted with care, and we had good actors in it, and great celebrity cameos and stuff. So I'm actually going to put Infinite Warfare, maybe even a C, no, it's not a C tier, it's a D tier. What it didn't have is a complete campaign. It was a little all over the place. The multiplayer balance-wise was a little rough, and it was really like Call of MOBA. It was like the Jetsons version of Call of Duty. For me, it was too crazy when people could travel to an alternate dimension, and then you would have to follow them into the alternate dimension and fight them in the Shadow Realm, and then one of you would reemerge victorious. That was just too much for me. Moving along, let's take a look at Call of Duty World War II. Now, this is a hard one. I wish I could put two Call of Duty World War IIs. Call of Duty World War II on launch was kind of a rough game, which is a shame because I really enjoyed playing it at E3, and I enjoyed the base multiplayer, and the campaign was okay, but there was quite a few bugs with it. Most notably, your headquarters just didn't work for like a whole month. It just was like busted. And it was kind of hard to earn some of the guns, and the game got a little repetitive, and there was a lot of class restrictions, even more class restrictions than maybe Modern Warfare 4. It was really kind of hard to make your own class and do your own thing, and there was a lot of problems. It might have even moved it down to the D tier, but it did have war mode, which was neat. It had a, you know, competent zombies, competent campaign. You had a fun multiplayer with some unique maps, but what really helped World War II was after the developer shakeup, we got new people in charge, and they decided we're saving this game at all costs. After that second patch, where we just removed class restrictions, we increased speed, we got a bunch of free maps and new content and better ways to earn guns and a totally different balance on some things. This game went up to a B tier for me. Call of Duty World War II is one of a few Call of Duty games that truly elevated itself with successive patches. I wish the Call of Duty World War II that we had after like the 6-month mark was the Call of Duty World War II we could have got at launch. I think it would have been better. And now finally, at the very end of this long discussion, let's take a look at Black Ops 4. As you all know, I'm not playing Black Ops 4 at the moment, and I've got reasons for that. If you look at Black Ops 4 from a gameplay perspective, the multiplayer for this game is probably about C tier overall, maybe B tier. It has a lot of elements of other Call of Duty games, and we've got the specialists from Black Ops 3 and from Infinite Warfare, but it struggles a bit to really kind of seal the deal. It's like they compromised on their vision too much and took out wall running and slowed it down, and the multiplayer is functional and it's fun, but it gets repetitive. Multiplayer was like okay for me, but it never really hooked me. But then you've got Blackout. Oh my god, dude. Blackout mode Blackout mode in and of itself would move this up to S tier for Call of Duty because I think Blackout is a fantastic mode. You have totally new, different interactions that you've never had in Call of Duty. 100 players, one of the best battle royales out there at the moment. You had that thing, like, when we were playing COD 4, we would say, do you know what would be really fun is if they released a city-sized map with like 1,000 people and you could duke it out and see who was the last man standing, or have 50-man teams or something like that. Well, we got that with COD 4. Just, you know, the fours, they connect, but we got it, and it was great, and Blackout was super fun, and I played the crap out of Blackout. And the zombies mode in this game is probably, you know, A to B, somewhere in A to B tier. No, but then we have other problems, such as no campaign. Boom! Gotta drop that down a little bit. Then we have microtransactions and zombies. Boom! Gotta drop that down a little bit. And then we have the most ridiculous microtransaction system I may have ever seen in any game ever, which is dropping Black Ops 4 down to a C tier, which is a shame because the game could easily be A or S. The quality of the game is high, but I have different microtransactions in zombies than I do in multiplayer. Multiplayer has a season pass, it has direct purchases, it has challenge purchases, it has a battle pass with tiers you can purchase. Then it has loot boxes of all things, and just every single conceivable way that you could monetize a game. Like, they sold special editions and like collector editions and individual store pre-order bonuses, like order at GameStop and get this rare pistol, but then we're selling the pistol for 15 bucks. It had a $15 hammer. This game has the worst monetization system of possibly any game on the market that isn't just pay to win. I don't think it's pay to win, but that's the next step. The next step is pay to win, and that's a shame because it drags Blops 4 down lower than it needs to be on this tier list. And guys, I hope that is a satisfactory explanation for all of you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.